Corn is what we know best. Corn is what we do very well in terms of productivity. We see significant production capability for corn in Nebraska. We've always played to the livestock industry in the States, so we're going to continue to grow corn here. We've always been a major exporter of corn. That's cost Nebraska producers because they must pay that differential to get their raw material to a market that could be anywhere in the world. And so marketing that product locally saves time, saves energy, saves those dollars, and puts those back in the producer's pocket. So corn has been something that from a technological standpoint was easy to do. It allowed us to continue to respond to the needs of the livestock industry by keeping that distiller's feed, that protein in the state, feeding it here. And it's really allowed us an opportunity to build on what we know best in the state. What we've seen as a result of that is a real response coming from those companies that provide genetics for seed corn in particular. And over the past couple of years, it's really been a spectacular technological evolution in that area. We have corn varieties today that are specifically suited for corn dry milling plants or corn wet milling plants. If you believe the corn you produce needs to be produced in 102 days and you're going to have a lot of wind in your area and you don't have much water to use and you'll ultimately market that to a dry mill plant in your county, there are specific varieties that are that precisely engineered. And if indeed we see a public policy that will require biofuels to be used in ever increasing volumes, we all fully understand the need to find other biomass products that can be used. It doesn't matter if it's municipal waste, it doesn't matter if it's forestry products, it doesn't matter if it's food processing waste. There's a whole host of products that are very good for producing ethanol. We've seen some marvelous things in the laboratory so that we can go from these pre-commercial demonstration units to full-scale demonstration and really start producing significant volumes of ethanol from a variety of different feedstocks, including forestry wastes and rice straw in California, for example. The benefit of that is that we can significantly increase our capability to produce renewable biofuels and satisfy a number of public policy objectives. I think from an economic development standpoint, that's very, very important because policymakers in California will see what policymakers in Nebraska have seen, that capitalizing on this ethanol and biofuel development opportunity creates wealth within the state. It displaces petroleum products that come from external sources, and it relies on domestic indigenous products, in some cases waste products, to make these high-value fuels that improve not only the economy but help improve the environment as well. Nebraska has one of the largest switchgrass demonstration programs in North America today. It's a wonderful research program, and there's a huge opportunity in the future to use switchgrass in all likelihood as a source of ethanol. But areas in which that switchgrass is grown, the way that it's grown, the varieties that are used today are different than varieties you might use if you were cultivating it for a crop. So we need to go through this process in a thoughtful, deliberative way, much the way we've gone through the evolution of other agricultural products if they're going to be used now for energy uses. So I think that while there is huge promise for cellulose, I absolutely believe it will become a commercial reality one day. It still is over the horizon. It will take an immense amount of capital investment, a huge research program to help facilitate this move from basically demonstration programs to commercial use, and ultimately it's going to have to compete with corn. There's really nothing special about cellulose in terms of its capability to produce ethanol. At the end of the day, you still have a gallon of ethanol, and it has no special standing. It's simply a gallon of ethanol. So I think that while this holds huge promise, we also need to temper that with the fact that there is this evolution going on that will take some time and will take a massive commitment of capital, research dollars, and public policy. We've actually, around the world, been making ethanol from cellulose for over 100 years. And so it's not a technological innovation necessarily. We're seeing some new enzymes applied, we're seeing some new feedstocks and all, but what we really need to do is make sure that it's produced in an economic way. As we've looked at the economics of ethanol produced from cellulose, it seems like every few years we hear a pronouncement that ethanol from cellulose is about 5 years away. And I heard that in 1975, and I heard that in 1980, and I heard that in 1985, and I heard that last week in Chicago. It's about 5 years away. I'm optimistic that we're going to reach that 5-year milestone at some point here in the relatively near future. But I think many also take a look at the real commercial proving of this being about 5 years away.